Strikes midnight, that church wakes up. It all starts with the bells. You might expect the dull, clanging noise of rusted iron, but that's not what you hear. Instead, crisp, resonant chimes echo through the streets. So clear they seem to cut right through the walls of nearby homes, even drowning out the hum of city traffic. With each strike, the air grows heavier, and the silence between the chimes becomes almost unbearable. But the bells aren't the part that truly terrifies people. It's the windows. On the front of the church, there's a tall stained glass mural depicting Christ, framed by his apostles. The colors are fractured and have long been dulled by dust and grime. But when those midnight bells begin to ring, something changes. Faces appear in the glass. And they aren't saints or angels. They're just faces. And a man who lives just down the block swears he saw his late mother staring out from the glass, her mouth wide open in a silent, desperate scream. Another woman claims she saw a reflection of herself, but aged, lifeless, her skin as pale as candle wax. And then there, said the story of one man who said the face he saw, didn't he just look at him? It followed him as he backed away, its eyes shifting within the shards of colored glass, tracking his every move. Witnesses describe it as if the window itself has become alive, like the glass has turned to water with figures pressing against it from the other side, desperate to get out. Some even say that if you stare long enough, you'll start to recognize people who have gone missing in Charlotte over the years, their faces trapped in the stained glass. Naturally, no one has ever been brave enough to try and go inside when the bells are ringing. The doors won't budge anyway, not even when people have tried kicking them in broad daylight. And yet every so often around that witching hour, neighbors report seeing the soft flicker of candlelight from within. They see shadows moving along the cracked plaster walls, as if a ghostly congregation has returned for a midnight service. But here's the detail that chills me to the bone. A local historian once managed to pull the old parish records from the church's final days. Services stopped abruptly in 1924. The very last entry in the logbook was just a single, chilling line written in shaky, hurried ink. The bells have called them, and they will not leave. And that night, the night the final entry was written, the bells rang 13 times. No one knows just how many new faces appeared in the glass that evening. What do you think is happening inside that church? Is it a portal? A prison for lost souls? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more tales from the shadows. Stay safe out there. They say the Link's blue line tunnels are just concrete and steel, long echoing corridors built to move trains, not to hold secrets. But if you talk to the workers, the ones who repair the tracks in the dead of night, you'll hear the same hushed warning. Down there you can't always trust the shadows. One of those workers, a man named Jeff, shared his story with me, and it's one that sticks with you. It was well after midnight. His crew was deep inside the tunnel, the air heavy with the metallic temps of oil and damp concrete. Their portable spotlights were powerful, cutting through the darkness like surgical blades, leaving no corner unlit. At least that's what they thought. Jeff was walking ahead of his team when he saw it, a figure standing dead center on the tracks. At first, he thought it was a mantle, motionless, with squared shoulders. But something was deeply wrong. The intense light from their spotlights didn't touch him. Everywhere else, the beams bounced off the concrete walls, the steel rails, even the tiny dust particles dancing in the air. But this figure just absorbed the light, like a hole carved out of the tunnel itself. The more they focused their lights on it, the darker and more defined it became. "Hey!" one of the crew members yelled, his voice echoing unnaturally in the confined space. There was no answer. The figure didn't move, didn't even shift its weight. The only sound was the rhythmic drip of water somewhere down the tunnel, but the silence from that shadow felt heavier, more oppressive than anything Jeff had ever experienced. He took a cautious step forward, and instantly the temperature plummeted. He could see his own breath fogging up in the beam of his headlamp. His boots crunched on the gravel, and with each step he took, the figure seemed to stretch. It wasn't moving in a way a person would. Its outline just rippled, distorting against the air like a heat haze. Then, without any warning, it slid backward. It wasn't walking or turning, it was just gliding, effortlessly deeper into the tunnel, always maintaining the same distance from them. Against their better judgment, the crew followed. Their radios, which had been silent moments before, crackled to life, bursting with a wall of static that grew louder until it was almost unbearable. And then, one of the main spotlights flickered and died. For a split second, the tunnel was plunged into near total darkness, and the figure vanished completely. But when the light sputtered back on, the shadow wasn't in front of them anymore. It was behind them. Jeff swears he heard breathing slow, deep, resonant, echoing in the space just a few feet away. They didn't wait for a second look. The crew bolted, dropping their tools with a deafening clatter, scrambling over each other until the distant mouth of the tunnel finally opened up to the cool night air. When Jeff dared to look back, the tunnel was empty. There was no figure, no sound, just the low, constant hum of electricity. He quit tunnel duty right after that night. But before he left, one of the veteran workers pulled him aside and told him he wasn't the first. For years, security cameras in that specific section of the tunnel had a habit of cutting out. It always happened around 3 a.m., and when the feed returned, the camera lens would be tilted toward the ground, as if something didn't want to be seen. Most people will tell you it's a trick of the light, a product of exhaustion after too many hours spent underground. The workers who've been there, who've seen it for themselves, they'll tell you something different. They say the shadow isn't a trick, it's waiting. What do you think is haunting the tunnels? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more strange tales, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.